Welcome, everybody, to Mindset Monday. I'm Denise, Zack with Game Plan U today. Thanks so much for joining in. I am super excited. This is episode number 17, and I've got an amazing guest today. Just want to tell you a little bit about Game Plan U. We are an organization that helps founders build their startups, and we have this amazing community of founders who are connected and working with one another, learning from one another, growing with one another. And it's an amazing opportunity. If you are a startup, if you are a new founder and you're looking for support, if you're looking for a way to get connected, Game Plan U is probably the place for you. This podcast is a part of Game Plan U, and my role with Mindset Monday as a 20-year therapist and as a mindfulness and meditation instructor, a yoga instructor, is really to get into those 6 inches in between your ears, in between my guests' ears, figure out what their mindset is. How are you showing up to your day? What are the successful thoughts that you have? What gets in your way, and how do you manage it? Because we see all these people doing amazing things, and there are times when bad things happen, negative things happen, trauma happens, tragedy happens, yet we have to keep going. Time doesn't stop. And this is an opportunity for people to share their story and talk about their challenges and the things that they may have been dealing with, but also kind of share their successes and how they keep going every single day. So thanks so much for being here. Click that like button if you like this content. I'm going to not wait any longer, and I am going to bring on my guest today. Super excited to have him here. He is a member of the Game Plan U community. Danny Harris, hello.
Good morning. Good morning. Thanks for having me, Denise.
Thanks so much for being here. I really appreciate it. I met you a while back during one of our first events, and it's been so amazing to just watch the transformation of your organization and your business and your connection with Game Plan U. And so I just want to just give you a shout out, because being a founder is not an easy thing. It is a challenging thing. It is 24/7. It never ends. And there are challenges that happen every single day that there's no one else to go to. There's no boss to go to. It is you all day long, kind of carrying that weight on your shoulders. And I just think it's just a testament to your strength and your resiliency as a person that you bring into your business with you. So I just want to just appreciate you right now. And thank you again for coming on to talk with us today, or talk with me today, and to whoever's watching. But can you tell us a little bit about your business? Tell us a little bit about Game Day. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and how you came to develop it, why you came to develop it.
Yeah. So I started Game Day. Well, the idea of Game Day was probably 4 years in the making. I'm a huge sports fan, and I, like many of us, many sports fans, but mostly just people who engage in entertainment. I was sitting on my couch and I was watching a basketball game, and something caught my attention that was on the court. And in any true fashion, I try to immediately go find it. And that experience, I still don't own that particular warm up that the Golden State Warriors were wearing to celebrate Chinese Heritage Night. And so my passion for sports, my background in data analyzation, and working in startups, and more importantly, understanding the e-commerce world, sort of led me to that idea that we can create a better experience for sports fans. And as sports fans, we think of the experiences that we have, and those experiences are watching a game. They're connecting with our favorite athletes. They're the games that are taking place. And I wanted to bridge that gap between the experience of the game, the event, and what it is that we're seeing. So the initial vision was really just to give sports fans that immediate I see it and I want it opportunity to connect with their favorite athletes and understand, first and foremost, what makes our favorite athletes who they are. What are the things that they're using to perfect their craft? And then taking it a step further, if I wanted to, I could go purchase it and connect directly with the retailers where those products can be purchased, instead of trying to navigate the web of things and try to find it all yourself. That experience remains from a Game Day perspective, and we can certainly get into it, into more of the weeds. But over the last 2 years, and the understanding around the business side of game day, the importance from an athlete's perspective, the branding side of an athlete, it became crystal clear that there was a huge value for the athletes from a game day perspective. And so while it has evolved, it hasn't pivoted, it has evolved from just that consumer experience to, we really want to be a tool and an asset for athletes, business managers, their agents, to create this branding platform that helps them share with their fans and followers what it is that makes them who they are in a 360-degree view. We help them monetize that. So we help create a new revenue stream as that's becoming more and more important as sports can be taken away from them at any point in time, which is crystal clear over the last year. And more importantly, it's the data play, the data asset that every athlete gains as they understand truly what their brand is worth and the value that they bring to brands that they may or may not have relationships with. So we believe that this will fundamentally change all the future business conversations moving forward and put the power back in the athlete's hands.
I love that. I love that you're kind of solving at the very least, two different problems, right? One is the way that fans engage with athletes that they love and respect and admire, and the gear that they put out and how to connect with that. And then for our athletes to have a platform and a way to get that gear, that product, that whatever it is out to the fans. And so it's this win-win situation that started from you admiring, I think you said it was like a warm-up suit, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it was just,
Right?
it was one thing that happened on the court. And then it was going through that process and realizing there isn't a seamless flow. We as sports fans are influenced by, especially sports fans, we're influenced by the athletes themselves, and the generations are certainly more athlete focused than they are team. And so we want to travel with those athletes and really discover and understand more about who they are.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. And you talked a lot about your background in data analytics, in e-commerce and strategy, you were in operations, you were in program management. I imagine that even if you didn't like one of those past positions, right? Even if there was a job that you had, all of these things in kind of this penultimate way came together and really gave you so much in terms of being able to develop this business. Can you talk a little bit about that? And not to forget the creative side, obviously, that you have as well, because I'm hearing that in your discussions at the same time.
Yeah, it's interesting. I would say probably it was probably 2012, 2013, where I had a conversation with a mentor of mine, and it was that typical conversation. What do you want to do? Where do you want to be in 5 years? Do you want to be starting your company? Where do you see yourself? And I would have never thought I would be in this situation that I'm in right now, where I would have taken the leap to do this, to go at it myself, to build something on my own, with certainly my community around me and my network around me providing that support. But I would say to that question, it certainly has been, every step of the way has built on top of each other, has provided that one more level of blocks as you could imagine to put me into this situation. So, I started just typically in a customer service role, just answering emails for a startup, and that starts to build empathy for customers. And then I put myself into a position where I could really help strategize and build processes, so that that layers on top the sort of the ability to take a step back and try to solve more holistic problems. And then I started, then I evolved to be able to manage people. And that then put me in a position where I could build a team around me to help support the vision that I had. And so it's those little pieces that on their own, you look at them and they're, that they're a minor entity that you can look back. But when you put it together, in concert with one another, they certainly have allowed me to be in this position. That and the network of and the individuals that I've got to know and that I've got to respect, and that have started to respect me for sort of my journey. It's sort of all of those different pieces that have allowed me to sit in this position, to talk to you, and to really talk about the platform that I'm trying to build, and the value that I'm trying to create.
Yeah.
Each one of those things on their own don't put me in the position to be sitting here today talking to you.
Right. It's kind of like a conglomerate, right? It's all of these things pulled together that it's like you said, one more brick, one more step, one more piece of the puzzle that allows you to be able to see the vision of a company more clearly. I want to, you used one word, you said that, and you talk with someone and you talked about taking the leap, right? I think that moment right there is probably the most fearful moment, maybe one of the most fearful, but because there's so much we're thinking about. Oh my gosh, can I do this? How did you get the courage to do that? What was that experience like for you? And how long did it take you to take the leap? And what was it like when you did it?
So when I think back to when I had that aha moment, that traditional aha moment that's founders talk about, the sitting on the couch watching that game, to here, I mean, again, that was 4+ years ago. So I was working for another company where this idea came to be, and talking to my family, talking to my friends. Now that I wouldn't say that that's market validation or anything like that as you think about the startup, but it was those conversations that I was having with friends, family, support system that I have that was giving me some more validation around, and they don't realize it, but it was those little validation points with the positive affirmation around, boosting my confidence. And each one of those was that additional boost of confidence. And then two things: one, timing around the transition from the company that I had been working for. So timing is one key piece. And the second was my family. Without having the support from my wife and my daughter, we're not sitting here. We're not having this conversation. And it was, my wife actually said, if this happens, and this was something else that she was going through, if this happens, you're going to do this. And you're going to do this was, you're going to start this dream, because I believe in it, and I believe in you, and we're going to make this work. Now, living in the Bay Area, it doesn't, that financial burden of starting your own company, that's a huge concern. But having that support from your partner couldn't be more valuable to get me to where I am right now.
And I love that you said that, because what I think you're talking about at the end of the day, which is something that it's kind of like at the crux of everything that I try to kind of talk about, is the value of relationships. And that if you don't feel supported, if you don't feel valued, if you don't feel like your voice is heard, then relationships aren't going to be as healthy. You're not going to want to stay in that position. You're not going to feel like you have any energy or ability to do whatever it is, regardless of your skill, regardless of whether it can work or not. If you don't have that, and yes, I mean, there certainly is something to be said for your own grit and resilience and getting back up and not taking no for an answer and saying, I can do this. But the relationships are so important, so very important.
Yeah. And I would add to that the relationships that I have that are giving me each of those little moments, they're not seeing some of the rejections that you're getting in emails. They're not seeing the ignored outreach, those types of things. So they're not getting the full picture, but they don't need the full picture.
Yeah.
They just need to know that, every little bit is helping support this person, and that this person happens to be me. I got a text yesterday from one of my best friends, and he was saying that his son, watching the football game, was passionate about something he saw from one of the players, and he thought, doesn't Danny's company try to solve this? And it was like,
right.
yes,
Yes.
these little moments, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep doing this, because it's every little bit that's going to provide me strength and is going to give me that added confidence.
And it's almost like these things are kind of put in front of you for a reason, to keep you going. It's like those moments when you think, I don't know if I can take this anymore. I don't know if I can do this anymore. And it's like, boom, you get that little shot of adrenaline, that shot of energy that comes from someone validating what you're doing. Right.
Right. And I had my
Absolutely.
daughter on Saturday while I was sitting on my computer trying to, knock out some things, saying, "Daddy, why are you working on a Saturday?"
Yeah. You're like, when am I
And
not working?
and then you get that Sunday text, and so it's,
Yeah.
the roller coaster ride that is this entrepreneurial journey is, it's an amazing experience.
Yeah. Yeah. Something that you can't describe it if you're not in it, right?
Mm-mm, mm-mm.
Yeah.
Nope.
So let me dive in a little deeper here. Were there times where you felt like, either a challenge came up or something personal or something in the business, and you felt like, man, this is going to test me. This is going to be a tough one. And how did you manage it?
I think for early stage founders, it's that ongoing concern around financial resources. It's the how am I going to navigate this and make it work on the shoestring budget. Now
Mm,
that's an area that I pride myself on anyways. Like in past companies, like I'm I'm the one that is being as creative as possible to try to solve problems in a scalable way, but in a very cost-effective way. So this is a perfect opportunity for me to continue that journey and that mindset. But every day is one more day where money might not be coming in, and you're worried about looking at that bank account
mm,
and where are we at today.
mm,
And so it's that ongoing sort of gut wrenching feeling of can I string this out one extra month? Is that second week in February really going to be that conversation that I can have with X person that's going to change the conversation? So it's
yeah.
how can I extend this as long as possible? And I think that it's that daily um, internal conversation that
Mm,
you need to have with yourself to
right.
say, because you can easily just decide, you know what, I'm gonna cut bait, and we're gonna just tie this off, and it just wasn't meant to be.
Yeah.
But how much more do you want to put into this to make it work? And are
Yeah.
you doing everything that you can to make that work?
Yeah. So really thoughtful self-reflection on a daily basis, I imagine, right? Because it's not just about the black and white. Is it working? Is it not working? It's what's working well, what's not working well, what do I have control over, what don't I have control over, and what are my next steps, right?
And what's possible. Even if we take one step further on that, if I can extend this to the second week of March or through March, what's the possibility of having 10 more conversations? And every
Mm,
conversation is that additional building block to create more awareness, create more momentum, create more opportunities. And if you can generate that extra conversation because you have the resources available, then you just don't know. But
yeah,
make that possibility a reality.
yeah. What would you say is your greatest quality as an entrepreneur, as a leader?
I think I think if I had to pinpoint one thing, I think it's the creativity side of me in solving problems. It's a true uh, in the 5 or 6 startups that I've been a part of. I think it's the true requirement of a successful startup employee. It's the being able to take a step back and think to yourself, how can I creatively solve this problem and not require a ton of resources, not need additional help from somebody else who's trying to be creative and solve some other problem.
Mm,
And so I think if I had to pinpoint, I would say it's that, because that sort of in and of itself gives more confidence in the people around you with how can how successful can Danny be at doing X? Can
mm,
we rely on Danny to do this and do it to the best of his ability? And so when I take it upon myself without having sort of the other resources around you, you sort of have already realized what's important, and how to get there, and the various steps that it's going to take to achieve that.
Absolutely, yeah. I definitely see that creative side to you, and just in hearing you talk and how you kind of, operate within the Game Plan U community as well, which I think is awesome. And I think one of the other pieces that I see when I talk to you is that um, that strategy piece that you talked a little bit before about. It's like you seem to be so strategic and thoughtful about what decisions you're making and how you're making those decisions. And so I'm wondering if you could, say someone who's thinking about starting a business right now, or a new founder is listening right now. What do you say to them in terms of what is probably the most important thing, or maybe one of the most important things to keep in mind, or to make sure that you have at your disposal or within your reach as you start your business?
I would say it's having that core community of support. It's try to put yourself in the uncomfortable conversations to build that core community of
Yeah,
support. If I think about myself, I'm not the sales type of person. If I And I had a founder ask me in a company that I work for, Danny, you do really well in pitching stuff. What would you say about sales? And I thought, like, that would be the worst experience of my life, and that was 8 or 10 years ago.
yeah,
But you put yourself in the uncomfortable situations where you have to be selling, and so
yeah,
that's going to naturally build on your experiences. And every time you're having a conversation, you're selling. And so
absolutely.
it's as you're selling, you're building and you're strengthening that network of folks, especially your that core community,
Mm,
and that's going to help build you up, and then they're going to help expand that overall network for you, because
mm-hmm.
they're going to believe in you, and you ultimately need to have that belief in order to be successful.
Absolutely. Great advice. Awesome
Yeah.
advice. So I want to just give people an opportunity to learn a little bit more about this is if they want to get in touch with you, right?
Yeah.
They can contact LinkedIn. This is your LinkedIn handle, and then your Game Day website, which I'm sure has a plethora of information to tell people a little bit more about the company and what you all do. And if people want to email you directly, this is the best way for them to get in touch with you there, or
Yeah.
they can message you on LinkedIn, I imagine, right?
Yep.
Awesome. Great.
Yeah.
And I want to thank you so much for being here. I think that you've provided so much amazing information about what goes on in the mind of an entrepreneur every single day, day in, day out, some of the challenges that they come up against, and how to manage it, really, how to kind of think strategically, how to think creatively, how to build those relationships and build those networks. Such amazing and valuable information. I want to thank you again for being here today. Again, if you all want to get in touch with me, if you want to be on this podcast, you can email me. You can also find me on LinkedIn. And I just want to thank you all for being here today, for tuning in. I want to thank my guest, Danny Harris, for being here, for all of his valuable information. Any last words you want to?
As you talk about Game Plan U, the one thing I just want to say is the Game Plan U program is truly a community. And I've said it before with your colleagues. It's unlike the other programs that I've been a part of. I've been fortunate to be a part of. I wouldn't turn those opportunities down if I had to go back and do it again. But the Game Plan U program it truly is the community that is going to provide the support and help build up each of our just who we are. And so I couldn't thank the program more. I couldn't thank you and the rest of the team more. Anybody out there who's curious more about it, certainly reach out to me. I'm happy to talk more about the community. But it really is, it's a family. And so I couldn't, I would choose it again every time.
Awesome. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. I couldn't have asked for any better unsolicited
100%.
validation. I really
We didn't
appreciate that.
discuss this beforehand, community, I
Right,
promise.
right. This was authentic.
100% authentic. Yep.
I love that. Thank you so
Yeah.
much, Danny. It's been great talking with you. Have a great day, and thanks everybody for tuning in.